Weekly outlook for week 2 of December. Starting with the news, nothing on Monday. Then Tuesday we have tentative. This is the NFP folder, one of them from doesn't say. It might not actually be delayed data then, I'm not sure, but it is tentative, so it might not even release. Anyway, Tuesday we have at 10 a.m. for sure, and Wednesday we have 2:30, a delayed employment folder, which is also part of the NFP release. So that's 41 days late, so that's a very old folder. And then Wednesday in PM session, we have the full FOMC experience. I'm pretty sure Trump said that Powell is going to cut rates, so we'll see how that actually does go. I assume that he wouldn't know. He's just kind of like trying to pressure him to do it, I guess. Then on Thursday, we have unemployment claims. And on Friday, we have no dollar folders, but we do have a pound folder early in London. I'm hopping into the charts. What do we have? We have, in my opinion, potentially a weekly market shift, a weekly change in state of delivery on dollar, where we now have a weekly bearish order block here, bearish breaker here, right? Overlap. So that level of these two bodies, kind of somewhere around here, should be sensitive to price if we're going to be going lower. And then the other way you could frame dollar would be the monthly gap that just popped up, which was a bullish gap when I popped to the monthly chart, right? We do have a monthly bullish gap here, but in my opinion, this is going to be a bearish continuation of like the overall move we've got kind of going from earlier in the year, where we're looking at a potential tap of this breaker and then probably a move at least to like equilibrium of this range, right? But since all these lows are all like stacked relative equal lows in this, or not relative equal lows, but they're low resistance liquidity, like we never purge a previous week low anywhere in this like 8-week trend higher. I think we might cut through these like butter. So yeah, potential for very bearish price action, and then dropping to the daily. We have this daily bearish gap here. I'd want to see this hold, price go lower, potentially see a setup, form off majors on their respective daily gap that we're in. And then like the intermediate term drawn liquidity for like next week would be probably this sell side pool on dollar. But yeah, again, also keeping in mind that we did just purge a high time frame sell side pool, so there is potential for some consolidation, right? Add to the fact that it's like December, maybe not the most high probability time anyway. So that is something to think about as well. And then essentially the same thing just goes for euro and pound, where the overall bias, right, obviously carries over in reverse from dollar. So bullish for the majors since I'm bearish on dollar. And then we have bullish daily gaps on both pound and on euro. And yeah, I'd want to see those hold for higher prices as well. And then potentially we could see a setup in the early part of the week, trading from those daily gaps. That would be what I'm looking for. Indices, super simple, right? I'm bullish. Didn't mean to do that. I'm bullish, and I think that's all there is really to say. We do have like a micro weekly gap of like probably a point or so here on ES, and we don't have one on NQ, but yeah. Looking at the daily charts, yeah, I'm just bullish, man. Like December, right? Super bullish seasonals already going into the month, and then the chart to me doesn't indicate any reason not to be bullish. Like we had our retrace, we took out previous month low last month. At the end of November, we took out October's lows, right? And then since then, we've just been trading away from there. So I don't see why we wouldn't just continue here. So, keeping it relatively simple. In terms of trading it, I guess we'd want to see some daily displacement or potentially, I guess, a retrace all the way down into an untouched daily gap, which I think is less feasible for that to actually happen. I doubt it would. So with that in mind, I guess the expectation most likely will just be either the micro weekly gap on ES getting tapped. That would be an option, or we look for daily displacement higher and then a continuation there. But once again, I think we'd reach all-time highs if we get daily displacement, so then maybe the longs wouldn't be as nice anymore anyway. So yeah, but overall still bullish on indices, hoping to see some kind of actionable price action. And then on gold and silver, I think the main focus next week might be that weekly gap, if we can run down into it, right? We just formed new weekly gaps. Overall, right, I think the notion of bullishness does still and is still present, or should still be and is still present. We did just reach all-time highs on silver, so obviously this could be a spot where we get some form of retracement, maybe all the way to the end of the year, and we get some retracement / consolidation here before anything else happens. But overall, looking at those weekly gaps for continuation, and then as well, we could frame this off a daily gap on silver, because when we did run down here on Thursday, we only made equal lows. So at the moment, we do have equal lows here for a potential move lower, right? Take out previous week low, and at the same time tap the daily and the weekly gap on silver, and maybe also the weekly gap on gold while we're at it then, and then look for a move higher from there. Yep, that's the outlook. All right.